It's quite like ocean plastic. We need to persevere and we need to protect what's beautiful. Hi, I'm Janet Ormond. I'm an environmental artist from Komaki in South Africa, and I make environmental awareness art out of ocean plastic. It started 6 years ago when I was visiting the beach with my kids. I was picking up so much plastic every visit to the beach, and we didn't really know what to do with it. I mean, obviously we can put it in landfill and it can just stay there forever. But I am a creative and I wanted to find a way of doing something with it. So I started to do some research and I realized that worldwide people were using it as a medium to create artworks, and that's something that really resonated with me. And so it all began. I've always been a creative. I did go to college from high school and did a commercial matric in art. But after that, life sort of happened and I worked for a boat-based tourism company for a few years. So the ocean's always been close to me as I've been growing up and into my career. And then I didn't really do any art apart from hobby art for many years. And it's sort of gone full circle now and I've started creating again. I sell worldwide. I'm very lucky now to have quite a following on social media, and I've connected with lots of different people, either an environmentally aware customer that loves the ocean and the natural world as much as I do. And I think they really connect with my work because of the meaning behind it. So it's not just something visually pleasing, but it's something that they can really resonate as an important message. So when it ends up on their wall, it's a story to be told. The plastic on the beach is insane. We find everything. I'm not an engineer around plastic, so I can't talk to you about the technical side of the variations I find. But as far as what I find, toothbrushes, lollipop sticks, earbuds, Tupperware, obviously straws. We all know that straws are an issue. Plastic bags, shoes, clothes. Our everyday items are washing up on a daily basis, and the amount of it is quite ridiculous. Plastic is 80% from our rivers, especially the shoreline plastics. Things like the Great Garbage Patch out at sea are more fishing industry orientated, and we all contribute. So industries, individuals, you don't need to live anywhere near the ocean to be contributing to the problem, especially in countries like South Africa where infrastructure is a problem and we don't have proper maintenance, cleaning the roads. And if the roads aren't kept clean, and when it rains, all the rubbish ends up in the stormwater drains, travels down the waterways into the rivers, and then invariably out into the ocean. I'm obviously inspired by my natural surroundings. I live by the ocean, we're at the beach a lot, but I'm also a trail runner and I spend a large portion of my time up in the mountains. So that's, I think, why I ended up doing things a little bit differently to what you would expect ocean plastic orientated work. And I think there's a real connection between the land and the ocean because all the rubbish has come from the land around us. And my theory is it's source to sea. So it started at A and ended up at the end in the ocean. And it's got there via the rivers, which have traveled such a wide variety of pathways to get there. I often have an idea in my mind about what I want to create, and then it sort of evolves from there and sometimes ends up a completely different destination to where I thought I was going with it. And other times it will just be as simple as finding a piece of plastic which inspires me to create something. There's certain colors that I only find every so often, and they resonate to specific plants or animals, specifically birds. They're hard to come by, some of those colors. So it just depends where I'm at the moment. It's a funny thing, my relationship with plastic now. I'm working with it on a daily basis, and I get quite excited when I find certain elements on the beach because they're either hard to come by, or they're rare, or they've just got that color that you can see they've been in the ocean a long time, and they've got such a story to tell. And although I really love working with the medium, my ultimate goal is to not find it anymore. The process with working with plastic, it's not as simple as going to the art supply store and buying paint and brushes and starting a piece. I obviously have to source all the material, and then once I get home I have to start sorting that all out. There's a lot of the plastic that I collect from the beach I can't use, and it invariably does end up in landfill. Some of the bottles I am able to put through recycling, but a lot of it is so worn that it does need to go to landfill. So then once I've sorted that all out, I will take it into my backyard where I have an outdoor sink, and it's got rainwater and I can clean it, and then it lies out to dry in the sun. Then I take that all back in and I start to color code it into my areas up in my studio, and only then can I sit down and start creating. My tools are really simple. I use tiny little scissors and little Stanley blades and my fingers. I don't really have any pro equipment. I'm not sure if that exists for what I'm working with, but the simple stuff is normally the best. The most common pieces of plastic I find on the beach are probably sweet wrappers and chip packets, although two of the most irritating things to find, to put it plainly, are lollipop sticks and earbuds. For one, earbuds have been flushed down toilets and made their way through the waterworks and into our rivers, and that's revolting. And lollipop sticks were never made of plastic. When we grew up, they were made of paper, and they would have just disappeared. And now it's cheaper to make them out of plastic, so that's what the industries do. My background is in retail and in manufacturing, and when I started getting deeper into my art, I realized that it was a completely different industry. And I've had to learn a lot about the art world and how to go about marketing myself. And it's not a product, it is an individual art piece, and it's something that you have to, it's obviously something that's very personal, but you have to believe that people will relate to it, and there will be a market for it. And I believe it's been doing really well because of its message. Once I've cleaned everything, I bring it up into my studio and it's all sorted into colors. You'll see it's everything under the sun. Yogurt container lids, Tupperwares, strapping. So the reds and the greens, which I use a lot of. Black is a really prominent color. There's yellows, there's these industrial fishing glow sticks, and a whole collection of balloons. And fishing net. The trawlers use these fishing nets to catch their fish, and they often get caught up and land up in the ocean. And bottle tops. All different color bottle tops. And netting and rope. And this is where I work. Little doll's feet and a tape cassette from back in the day. I always wonder what's actually on it. These are nurdles. And nurdles are what projection molders use to create plastic. So they're melted down and colored. So every so often there are container ships that go overboard, and these nurdles cover the coastlines for miles and miles and miles. We had another spill about a year ago up the east coast, and we're finding them all the way down here in Cape Town. The fish eat them and they end up in our food chain, and there's nothing we can do about it. So Perseverance, I named it. It actually has to do with the magnolias, which are featured in here. Magnolias have been around for hundreds and thousands of years through all sorts of tragic natural disasters that the world has faced, and they're still here and they're still creating their beautiful flowers. And so I featured them in this piece, and you can't really find a more fitting piece of nature than a magnolia.